Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and we've got a big show tonight. We've got plenty to talk about. It may be the international break, but Manchester United rumours and reports and news stories have been circulating, and it's been very, very busy, it's got to be said. As you can see on screen, Mainoo, we're going to be talking about him. A lot of reports coming out suggesting that Manchester United are struggling to get him tied down to a new deal, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk as well, guys, about wages and how Ineos are going to have that at the forefront of their mind going forward into future transfer windows. Laurie Whitwell has been speaking in The Athletic today about that, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about Angel Gomez returning to Manchester United. He is a free agent in the summer, and he does offer Manchester United a pretty good option to bolster up that midfield and the attacking options in the summer. We're going to talk about a guy called Roger Fernandez, who has been linked with Manchester United. Ruben Amram, a big fan of this guy. And when you see his stats, you can see why. We're going to talk about Aidan Heaven as well, guys. Not good news in relation to him returning. Some pictures coming out with him of a boot on going around Carrington. So yeah, that's not good news. And finally, Dibbling to Manchester United. I know we spoke about it on the podcast this morning, but we will go into maybe some details in relation to that as well. Welcome everybody. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We are on the road to 14,000 subscribers. I'd love to get to 15,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the season if we can. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out an awful lot. I do want to hear your thoughts as well, guys. Get your thoughts into the comment section below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, I want to get into that as much as possible as well. Let me pop out the chat and put it over here so I can see what everyone is saying. There we go. Happy days. Right, guys, we're going to start and we're going to talk about Mainoo. Now, reports have come out today suggesting that Manchester United are kind of struggling to reach an agreement with him in relation to a new deal. We know, potentially there's a new contract on the table for him. But Steve Railson in the Manchester Evening News today, guys, has been reporting that there is a genuine chance that Mainoo leaves Manchester United this summer. Mainoo has been in contract talks with United since March of 2024, but an agreement still hasn't been reached. Talks are continuing. Now, I mean, this is to be believed. Manchester United have been in contract negotiations with Mainoo for over a year without being able to tie him down to a new deal yet. Now, what do we think about this? I think, first and foremost, I think it's absolutely vital that Mainoo remains at Manchester United and that he is a Manchester United player in the future, and that we base everything, not everything, but we have the likes of Mainoo as the focal point of our Manchester United squad going forward. I think it's absolutely vital. I'm a huge fan of Mainoo, and I think, given the ability and the I suppose the talent that he's got, we should be looking to get him tied down to a long-term deal. Now, what I do also have to say here as well is that Manchester United have, I suppose, have all of the cards in their hand in relation to this. And the reason why I say that is that Mainoo, his current contract does not run out for another 3.5 years, I think. I think it's 2028 he's tied down to. So Manchester United have got time here, and they're in absolutely no hurry to rush into giving Mainoo a deal. And I think that's probably the right thing to do, given the fact that he's got, 3 years left on his current contract. So I think the fact that some of these reports are coming out that he could leave in the summer and so on and so forth, I'm not overly, I suppose, convinced by them. I really am not. I think Mainoo is not going to leave this summer. I don't think he's going to leave Manchester United at all. And I think eventually he will be, tied down to a new deal, and we will see him sign a new contract at Manchester United, and, everything will be, rosy in the garden again. However, you can get a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of, rocking the boat from the players. Now, Mainoo probably wants a new deal. I think he's on about 25 grand a week at the moment. And, is he more than a €25,000 a week player, pound a week player? Probably. Is he an awful lot more than that? Probably not. I mean, he had a really, really good first season. Absolutely tore it up for Manchester United in his first season. However, this season has been a little bit hit and miss. Now, it can't be easy when there's so much upheaval at Manchester United and there's managers being changed and new systems being brought in and all of these kind of things. It cannot help anybody. But obviously, he hasn't been as good this season as he was last year in his breakthrough season. And I go back to maybe the Rashford scenario, and I think it's probably the opposite of Rashford. Rashford signed a new deal with Manchester United on the back of a 30-goal-a-season campaign. And Manchester United had to give him a hell of a lot of money. And again, we'll get into the wages and what Laurie Whitwell has been writing in a little while. But Rashford, with bonuses, if we were in the Champions League, is upwards of €400,000 a week. Now, the season before Rashford scored 30 goals, I think he had maybe 11 or 12, and he had a back injury and things weren't going well for him. That was the time to stick by him and tie him down to a new contract. And we probably would have got him for 250 grand a week rather than 400,000 a week. And I think Kobbie Mainoo and going forward, I think I'm liking the patience out of Manchester United. It's quite clear United want to tie him down to a new deal, and it's also quite clear that Kobbie Mainoo was open to staying at Manchester United. He's a Manchester United fan. He's a Manchester United player, and I think genuinely he does see his future at Manchester United going forward. But United are going, all right, look, we've got 3 years left here. Let's see how you get on. You're currently injured at the moment. Let's just, concentrate on getting you back from injury, and then we'll see what happens. And, we'll talk about, your future, once you put in some good performances and so on and so forth. And look, I think Manchester United are going to pull the trigger at the right time. And when is the right time? Do you give him a new deal maybe this summer? I think that probably would be the best time to do it. Now, we are talking about what does Kobbie Mainoo want here, and some of the reports have suggested that it's 200 grand a week that he's looking for. He ain't getting that, lads. He is not getting 200 grand a week. It ain't happening. Kobbie Mainoo, regardless of, a genuine chance of him wanting to leave Manchester United, you're not getting 200 grand a week. Now, I think when we're talking about salaries and having maybe a structure there, I think Amad Diallo is a great example and a great yardstick and maybe a focal point on what everything else maybe is based around in terms of players. He's on 100 grand a week. Now, is Kobbie Mainoo worth 100 grand a week? Probably not. Probably a little bit less, I would say. So 75, 80,000, maybe 90,000 a week, I think would be a decent amount of money for Kobbie Mainoo to get. When you look at the likes of Dorgu coming in, for example. Now, I'm not comparing Dorgu to Mainoo. Dorgu's only in the door and Mainoo was absolutely scintillating for his last season. Dorgu was on 40 grand a week, so Kobbie Mainoo is not going to get 200,000. So there is going to have to be some compromise between everybody. I think you're probably going to see Mainoo come down a little bit. You might see Manchester United come up a little bit, and, we'll find that level ground. But look, like I said, I do think Kobbie Mainoo will eventually sign a new deal at Manchester United. Let's see what the members are saying here in the live chat. D is in. He says, evening folks, interested to hear everyone's opinions on this. I have my own opinion on it myself. He says, honestly, if this is Mainoo trying to push for a ridiculous contract, he can sod right off. Let him go elsewhere. He's 19. The money he is currently on is more than enough to set him up for life. Would I like to see him stay? Absolutely. But if he's asking for funny money, for what? One season performance, he can do one. Sick of these homegrown talents taking us for a run. Again, look, I agree with you, D. Absolutely I do in terms of what he should be getting. However, I also believe that this is just how negotiations start. We go high, you go low. And I always go back to when I was buying the house here and the missus said, will we go in with a €5,000 under the asking price? I said, we will we'll go in with a €30,000 under the asking price. And they came down by 20 or 15,000 and we came up by 5, I think, something like that. It was in around that price, I think. So that's what I mean. Negotiations, them maths mightn't work, by the way, but you get my point. Negotiations are always going to be that way. the players' representatives are going to start high. The club are going to start low, and we'll find that balance. We will find that balance. I genuinely believe we will. Ben is in. Good to see you, Ben. Dylan is there as well. Ben says it's a good way for Ineos to prove they are not going to be taken for fools with the contracts we've seen players get in the past. That's absolutely spot on. It really, really is. You do not want, and again, you know, we'll get onto the wage structure in a moment. It's a good segue into what Laurie Whitwell has been writing in The Athletic over the last, or this morning actually, it came out, and it's a great report. Anybody who's not subscribed to The Athletic, you should. I think it's only €2 a month for the first 12 months. It's really good. You get some really, really good reports from Manchester United. Yeah, and he's basically been saying that that's what we're going to be doing going forward. Ineos are trying to get the wages under control. We'll talk about that in a moment. Dylan says, we can't reward Mainoo so young. He's one of our best players, but he needs to prove more yet. He can't end up like Rashford. Absolutely, I agree. 100%. 200k a week, says D. He can smoke my toes. if that's the case, let him leave. See you later. That's a great. I've never heard that one before. He can smoke my toes. That's a good one. I'll use that. Mainoo might just be taking advantage of us. He's no fool. He knows we give players massive wages. He's just trying his luck. Look, he's probably trying to get in there before this new wage structure comes in. He'll get a good deal. And look, we'll talk about the wage structure in a moment, but I think it should be heavily based upon performances more than anything else. Really Unofficial says, when Mainoo has filled in at 10 this season, he has looked the part. I can't see him leaving. Doesn't seem to have the type of attitude to want to leave over money yet. I agree. I absolutely agree. Really, you know, he hasn't looked uninterested. He hasn't looked like he's never thrown his ties out of the pram. He's been substituted quite a lot under Ruben Amorim as well, which is something that has to be taken into consideration also, because you know it's not easy for players to get substituted off a lot, and he does look disappointed. However, you know, we've never seen bad attitudes from him. We really haven't, and I think that's a massive positive when you're looking to keep him on. Absolutely, 100%. But guys, look, let's move it on and let's talk a little bit about the wage structure that Ineos are looking to bring in at Manchester United and how it's going to maybe focus our attention going forward in terms of the transfer window, especially the summer one coming up and vice versa. But yeah, I mean, we are looking at a very busy summer transfer window in my eyes. A very busy summer transfer window. And I think that what Ineos are trying to do is very, very good in my eyes. I think the structure and trying to get everything as controlled as possible is really good. Look, let's jump into what Laurie Whitwell said. Some of you seen it on the screen. Anybody on TikTok on Instagram. We're live on Instagram tonight as well, by the way. Jump over to YouTube. The link is on my whole page. We've got all of these reports up on the screen. Come on over to YouTube and get involved over there. Hit subscribe and jump into the chat. We're live over there with all of the articles on the screen. But for anybody on YouTube, as you can see here, Laurie Whitwell has wrote that the wage issue will be at the heart of Manchester United's transfer planning. The board is trying to exercise restraint with new signings and is determined to ensure those who are well paid are able to play regularly. Now, this goes on, this is I suppose, feeding into what Jim Ratcliffe said. He said, United want to avoid having large wages sidelined for an extended period of time. The club has made fitness a priority for the new signings. It follows Jim Ratcliffe's statement that the wage bill of players at the manager's disposal, excluding injured and loan players, was the equivalent of a mid-table team. So that's obviously what Jim Ratcliffe was saying when he spoke to Gary Neville. But look, of course, getting on to the first part of this, the wage issue will be at the heart of Manchester United's transfer planning. And I think this is absolutely 100% correct. You know, when we look at some of the wages that have been given out in the past, and of course we know, look, the number one earner at Manchester United is Casemiro, 350 grand a week. And, you know, he is largely been a substitute this season, especially under Ruben Amorim. You can't have that. You cannot be dishing out these types of wages to players who are not starting week in, week out. and are not I suppose, the focal point of future plans. You just can't be doing that. We've got Marcus Rashford, albeit he is, a lot of his wages are being paid now by Aston Villa. He's on about 345 grand a week. Also, Jadon Sancho is on 250 grand a week. Luke Shaw, I think, as well, is on about 250 grand a week. Anthony is on about 120 grand a week. All of these players are being paid by Manchester United to not be at the club at the moment. And I think going forward, I think Ineos are going to be a lot more structured in terms of what types of, salaries and wages they give out. And I mentioned it on the Daily News, the Man United Daily podcast this morning. If you haven't checked it out, by the way, the link is in the description of the video. The Daily Manchester United News in 20 minutes or less, Monday to Friday on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go check it out. Link is in the description. But when you look at who we've signed so far, let's go back to last summer's transfer window. De Ligt, he's on 195 grand a week. He's the highest earner in terms of who Ineos have signed so far. Mazraoui, 135 grand a week. And we've got to take into consideration with these players as well is what have we bought them for? Mazraoui is on 135 grand a week, but we got him for 15 million. What a steal he's been. Ugarte, 120 grand a week. Lenny Yoro, young prospect. He's probably on more than he should be at the moment. He's on 115 grand a week, but when you're trying to get him out of the grasp of Real Madrid, you've got to give him a little bit more. Xerxes is on about 100 grand a week. And then we're talking about Dorgu coming in. He's on about 40 grand a week. So Ineos have been very, very structured in what they're offering players coming in, and we're not seeing massive salaries being offered like we have in the past. And I think it's very, very smart out of Ineos, and it's needed, to be quite honest with you. It's absolutely needed. Again, we're talking about what Ineos want going forward and players that they're looking to sign that are going to be fit and available all of the time. Mason Mount, Luke Shaw. I mean, Mason Mount is on, I think he's on 250 grand a week as well, 200 grand at least. And he's barely kicked the ball for Manchester United in the first 2 seasons that he's been here. This is exactly what we're talking about. When you're talking about salaries, and, we could add it up. Casemiro barely plays, 350 grand a week. Rashford, not even with us anymore, another 350 grand. That's 700,000. Sancho, 250. All right, that's 950,000. Anthony, add another 50 on top of that because Betis are paying a lot. That's $1 million already. $1 million a week in salary from players that are not playing for Manchester United. You know what I mean? Whether it be injury, whether it be, on loan, and I know salaries are being paid elsewhere and so on and so forth. But the money that we're giving players to, and again, I go back to the video I made about Luke Shaw about a month ago. We've paid Luke Shaw £58.5 million sterling while he's been injured. He's been injured for, if we add up all of the games he's missed, he's been injured for 7.5 seasons. And he's been available for 3.5 seasons out of the 11 seasons that he's been at Manchester United. 150 grand, he's on about 250 now, whatever the case may be. We averaged it out at about 150 grand a week. 150 grand a week multiplied by the 7.5 seasons that he's been missing comes to 58.5 million. We've given Luke Shaw 58.5 million to not be available for Manchester United. It's criminal. And that's what Ineos are trying to do. And that's the structure that they're trying to bring in when they talk about this. United want to avoid having large wages sidelined for an extended period of time, and they have made fitness a priority with new signings. This is exactly what we're talking about. Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, Anthony Martial, to go back, further. Cavani. And now I know Cavani kind of said, well, you're after taking the number 7 shirt off me, giving it to Ronaldo. He just kind of packed it in and he had enough. It's happened too many times over the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever the case may be. Ineos are trying to stop that. Young, hungry, fit, available players. And again, we've spoken an awful lot about the type of mentality you want to bring into your squad. Who do you want to get? And Dorgu is a massive, massive example of that. A player on his maybe second professional contract, second, maybe third, but definitely no more than that. Coming to Manchester United, getting 40 grand and looking to prove himself. And I think what we need to do going forward is we need to look at, instead of giving players massive salaries, and then if we don't make the Champions League, their salary gets cut by 25%, which is what an awful lot of the players are on at the moment. You know, you're talking about Rashford, Antony, the majority of players at Manchester United at the moment, their salaries have been reduced this season because we're not in the Champions League. Instead of doing that, just reverse what you're doing. Give them a base salary of 150 grand. And if we get into the Champions League, then you will get bonuses and you will get, you know, additional payments depending on how you play and how well you play and how available you are. You know, appearance bonuses, you know, goal bonuses, clean sheet bonuses, all of these kind of things. I think that's the way to go forward. I genuinely do. Because you're going to save a hell of a lot of money in terms of paying players if they don't live up to their expectation and what we expect from them. You're going to save an awful lot of money. But if they do exceed expectation, it means Manchester United are winning games, hopefully winning tournaments, qualifying for the Champions League, top four, whatever the case may be. And on top of that, then the players get rewarded with added benefits in their contract. And I think that's what we need to do going forward. I genuinely do. Let's see what people are saying here. Bishnu is in. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Fahad is there as well. He says, that's so depressing to think about. Shaw needs to go. Yeah, look, and I do think Shaw will leave in the summer, guys. I really, really do. I think his time is up at Manchester United. And I think that was quite clear from early doors with Ruben Amorim. He went out there and he said, I need a left wing back. And it's not just because of the change from full-back to wing-back, because Luke Shaw is very capable of playing, you know, in that wing-back position. But he realised, look, I can't rely on Luke Shaw. I've got to go out and sign somebody. So he went out and got Dargu. Diego Leon is coming from South America in the summer as well. And Harry Amas is the academy prospect coming up. So I think Luke Shaw is he's done and dusted. Ben says, I'll take 8 million for 11 years to not be available. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Same as contracts though, Jack. It should be 3 years max with an option of a year. Yeah, and look, again, there are, depending on the, I suppose, the length of time that you do have these contracts, I think there can be pros and cons to that. You know, if we're giving Dargu 40 grand a year and he agrees to a 7-year deal, we're going to go, yes, okay, brilliant. Now, you are taking a risk in that. You know, if you're giving a guy 40 grand a year for 7 years and he turns out to be absolute muck, then you're stuck with him. However, if he turns out to be really, really, really good, all of a sudden you've got a player there that's on 40 grand a week that's tied down to a 7-year contract. You're going, absolutely happy days. So I think a happy medium. I think 4 maybe plus 1 is generally what Manchester United have done in the past, and I know that's been under a previous regime. And I think a lot of different opinions have been thrown into the hat over the last couple of years with Chelsea giving really long-term contracts. But I have a feeling that's going to come back to bite them in the arse, to be honest with you, because, you know, an awful lot of the players that they've gone out and signed haven't really turned out to be that good. And I mean, look at João Felix, for example. They bought him last year and they're already looking to offload him. You know, 1 year he can't really get into the team. It's crazy to think. D says, I'll take 600k a year for 11 years not to be available. There you go. Absolutely. It's crazy money when you think about it. It really, really is. 89 first team players Chelsea have. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it I wouldn't be surprised if they do have 89 players, to be honest with you. Thirsty work. Anyway, guys, great to see people in on Instagram as well. Guys, gone live on Instagram tonight. We are live over on YouTube. If you want to join us over there as well, the link is on my homepage. Come on over, get involved over on YouTube. We've got all the articles up on the screen over there as well. Do come over and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. On the road to 14,000 subscribers. Let's see who we got. Earl is in. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Long time no see. I hope you're keeping well. I keep an eye on the guys over on the I was going to say the Anfield agenda, on the Man United agenda. Yeah, good to see you, man. Hope you're keeping well. Right, guys, let's move it on and let's talk about transfers, okay? Because there's been some interesting reports in the last maybe 24 hours or so. We spoke a little bit this morning on the Man United Daily podcast. Again, go check it out. Link is in the description. Monday to Friday, your snippets of Manchester United news in the morning when you need them. 20 minutes or less. Go check it out on Spotify, Man United Daily. But yeah, we spoke this morning about Angel Gomez, and reports have come out since then, again, kind of backing up what a lot of the reports have said. And Ben Jacobs has been speaking about him, and he says clubs in the Premier League, in particular, are chasing Gomez. My expectation is that, one, if he moves... let me start again. Clubs in the Premier League, in particular, are chasing Gomez. And my expectation is that, one, he moves to the Premier League, and two, there's a strong likelihood that either Tottenham or Manchester United win the race for his signature. Now, again, look, we spoke about Angel Gomez a few times already in the last couple of weeks, and there has been reports there suggesting, that United are going to be interested in him. And, are we interested in Angel Gomez to come in and be a catalyst for Manchester United to go on and win the Premier League? I don't think so, to be quite honest with you. I think what we've seen from Angel Gomez in the past, obviously may not be what he's gone on and done in League One, since he left Manchester United, but by all accounts, he's done quite well for himself, albeit it is a lesser league, but he has gone, he's got some experience, he's done well for himself, he scored goals, he's getting assists, and he is now a free agent. And I spoke an awful lot about this, and not just around Angel Gomez, but I think Manchester United are going to have to be very savvy in this transfer window coming up. And it's not going to be all about going out and signing the flash name players. We're going to have to be smart in what we do, and this is very much like the Christian Eriksen signing of a couple of seasons ago, where you can go out and again, I think we were more reliant on Eriksen than we will be on Angel Gomez. I think we've got more depth in midfield as it stands, especially with how Ruben Amorim plays and the emergence of Kobbie Mainoo and Ahmad and Garnacho all playing in the number 10 roles. But I do think as well that Angel Gomez coming in on a free would be very beneficial to Manchester United in terms of bulking up our attacking options in midfield where he plays. He can play in a variety of different positions as well, which is something that Ruben Amorim likes to see. And we see that already in, Bruno can play in the 6, in the 10. Eriksen can do the same. Mainoo can do the same. Ahmad can play in multiple positions. Mazraoui can play in multiple positions. The list goes on and on. It really does. Xerxes can play in multiple positions. And Angel Gomez would offer us that as well. And when you're getting a player in on a free like that, it really, really does help the finances when you're going into a summer transfer window. It really, really does. Look, again, I'm a little bit wary that it's never a good idea to go back. It tends not to work 9 times out of 10. But, when you're getting somebody on a free transfer like that, I see very little downside to it. Alan says he doesn't fit into any Ruben setup or formation. Why wouldn't he fit, says Willie. He doesn't have the engine. Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, I think the engine is something that you've got up there, more than in your lungs. You can get fit and you can get fitter and more can be asked of you. It's whether you want to actually do it or not is 90% of the battle in my eyes. I think if you want to you fucking really, really want it, and you want to go out and you want to get into this team and you want to work hard and you want to play for Manchester United, that engine will be there. I think it's more of a mentality thing than anything else. But I do think it would be a good bit of business, guys. I genuinely do. I think if we could get Angel Gomez on a free transfer in the summer, I would be happy with it. I genuinely would. I think he would be a good signing for us. Again, is he going to be the type of signing that will spearhead a title charge next year? No, it won't be. But it would be a very good rotational option there that Manchester United could have in terms of bulking up the squad. And if we get maybe to Champions League next year, you're talking about, and hopefully, getting to the latter stages of it, not trying to, be over or under realistic. We do have to be realistic. If you are getting to the latter stages of competitions, you're going to need depth in your squad. And, we spoke last summer about adding some depth into this Manchester United squad. And I think we done that quite well, to be quite honest with you, with the players that we signed. But you can't rest on your laurels. If Casemiro is leaving, if Eriksen is leaving, if, Lindelof is leaving, if Onana is leaving, if, Mason Mount leaves, Luke Shaw leaves, whoever, Anthony, Rashford, Sancho. If you're talking about, we reported last week that, or early this week, that up 10 or more players could potentially leave in this summer transfer window, first team players. You've got to add depth to your squad. You've got to go out there and sign players that are going to be rotational players. And I think Angel Gomez is that type of player. I think he would give us options off the bench. He would be able to come in and out of games. You're getting him on a free transfer, which is always good as well. But if we're going to lose up to 10 players this summer, or sell 10 players this summer, you've got to add depth to your squad, and not all of them can be starters week in, week out. There are going to be players that come in as rotational players. Some players that will come in to spearhead, like a new attacker, for example. But, if you're going to be losing Eriksen, we got Eriksen on a free. What better way to replace him than getting another player on a free who's a lot younger, a lot maybe hungrier. Now, that's not to say Christian Eriksen is not hungry, but he's in a different phase of his career. So Angel Gomez to Manchester United for a free as a rotational player. Great business in my eyes. Absolutely great business. Let me see here what the chat are saying. Let me see what the chat are saying here. Who we got? He can go to Tottenham. He's absolutely hogfire, says D, on a free. See, now that's different. Yeah, see, there you go. He's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. Bringing him in for Carabao Cup games. Reece says, a little fun question for everyone. If you had a past or present United player in their prime to take a free kick to save your life, who would it be? David Beckham or Dennis Irwin? David Beckham or Dennis Irwin, one or the other. I'd probably go with Beckham, to be honest with you. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, nice little bit of trivia from Reese. Now, guys, I want to move it on, and I want to talk about some interesting reports coming out in relation to a player that I have to say I never heard of before, and that player's name is Roger Fernandez. Okay, Roger Fernandez. Now, the report is coming out. We'll put it up on screen here for you. But the report is coming from a Portuguese outlet, and it says that Manchester United are willing to fight for the signing of Braga's Roger Fernandez. Ruben Amorim will have a strong say on the potential deal. Now, again, at first glance at this, I kind of looked over it and I said, yeah, all right, what's this? Let's move on. Nothing too substantial in relation to it. But then I went and I had a look at his stats. Okay, and I mean, I've got to say, his stats are pretty impressive. It has to be said. They really are. Now, look, we go with FB Ref, don't we? In relation to the stats that we look at. And obviously we work off of percentiles, and the higher the percentile is, the better. So the more green lines you see on the screen, the better. Now this guy, is down as a winger, a right winger, but FB Ref are given all of their stats as a fullback. So he has played And again, we go back to what Ruben Amorim is looking for. He's looking for a right wing back by the looks of things. We're getting linked with, and a lot of reports are coming out around right wingers / right wing backs. And this guy is one of these players. Look at his stats. Look at his stats. You know, they are really, really, really good. Now, again, he is a more attacking player, okay? So you've got to take that into consideration when you're looking at these stats, okay? He's an attacking player, but they've got him down here on FBref, and his stats are up against other fullbacks, okay? So let's look at it. He's in the 96th percentile for goals, okay? When it comes to other fullbacks, which is amazing. He's in the 93rd percentile for shot creating actions, 97th percentile for total shots taken. Okay, we go to the passing side of his game then as well. Passes attempted, he's in the 36th percentile, so not an awful lot there. But progressive passes, 78%. Progressive carries, 98% versus other fullbacks. This is a guy who is able to take the ball from one end of the field to another very, very effectively. Successful take-ons is up there with 98% in percentile as well. This guy is able to take it past opposition defenders, opposition players. Really, really good. What else have we got there? Progressive passes received, 99 percentile as well. And we are saying then as well that we're talking about him being a more attacking player versus what you see in the top left there, other fullbacks. But then we talk about the defensive side of his game that's in the bottom section here as well. He's in the 81 percentile for tackles. He's in 89 percentile for interceptions, and he's in the 85th percentile for blocks. This guy can defend, okay? This guy, in my opinion, has got everything you need to be a wing back. He's able to go forward, he's able to defend, he's able to transition, he's able to carry the ball forward. You know, he can score goals. The one thing I would like to see maybe is his assists improve a little bit, especially if you're going to be playing as a wing back. But other than that, these stats are absolutely phenomenal in my eyes. And for a player that, I won't lie, I didn't hear of until today. I really didn't. Again, anybody on Instagram, guys, come over to YouTube. We've got all of these up on the screen over on YouTube. Link is on my homepage. Come on over and hit subscribe and jump into the chat. But I mean, these stats are absolutely phenomenal in my eyes. They really, really are. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, what are we talking about in relation to a potential transfer fee. And when we're looking at his transfer fee from Braga, Transfer Market are saying that, Transfer Market are putting a valuation on him, if I can find it, I mean, at the moment, of 15 million euros. 15 million euros. Now, he's 19 years of age. You know, he's 19 years of age. Now, you could add probably another 10 or 15 million on top of that as well. Yeah, I mean, his main position, according to Transfer Market, is right wing. Other positions, left wing, right back. This guy, yeah, I'm all about this guy, to be quite honest with you. 19 years of age. You know, even if he's not going to come in and be the number one choice at 19 years of age, and let's say it's Delo that continues on next season, and this guy is being rotated with him and Delo, I mean, go and get him for 15 million. It's an absolute steal. It's an absolute steal. It really, really is. But let me know your thoughts, guys. You know, again, I'm sure he's a player that not an awful lot of people know, but yeah, I mean, the stats don't lie, really, do they? Read this morning from Football Japan that Maeda could be a target for us. It's a lot of Tyler because I've no idea where he'd play. Waza says, I watched Fernandez a few times. He is actually a couple of years older than Kenda and is ahead of his development and way cheaper. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, Waza, the stats that we put up on screen there, they do not lie, you know. And I mean, if you're talking about Kenda being a 17-year-old not being ready, you're getting a 19-year-old with these kind of stats. I mean, I'm all for it. I really, really am. And again, we spoke an awful lot in the last few weeks, didn't we, about how Manchester United are going to focus on identifying players in the future. And an awful lot of it is going to be data-based. And if we're talking about this Roger Fernandez, I mean, look at his stats. That is data-driven stats. The whole page is green. And when the whole page is green, you're a good player. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I really, really am. If you can get a kid in like this for 15 or 20 million, again, like we said, an unearthed, diamond in the rough for 15 or 20 million that in a year or two is going to be up there with, the best in the world. Go and do it now. Go and do it now. I'm okay with keeping Delors for another season as the number one and maybe rotate, Fernandez in and out with him if it means we get a player of his ability, if the stats on screen match up to what we think might be the case. D says this lad looks solid, and at that price could be an absolute steal for a player of his quality. These are the players we want to be signing. That's what Vivell is there for as head of recruitment. Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, whoever the case may be, Ruben Amram, all sitting around a table with a big fucking whiteboard on the wall going, yeah, Fernandez, right, bang, 15 million, perfect, who else are we going? And then they're talking about 3 years down the line who they might replace Delors with. That's what you want to be doing. A fucking structure and a plan going forward. You know what I mean? That's what you want to see. And we didn't have that for a hell of a long time. And it looks like we're getting it now under Ineos. It really, really does. Let me see here. What else are people saying here? Ben says, that's the sort of player we need to be signing. Get 3 or 4 of them in and get a decent striker and I'll be happy. Absolutely. Will Braga take the low for him? I don't know. We will need rotation at that right wing back. And I know Masraoui can play there as well. But I mean, I have no problem keeping Delors if he's a backup. Again, I would talk about Delors realistically as I would put him in the same category as Harry Maguire. And like I mentioned with Maguire, I have no problem with Maguire staying at Manchester United. There's talks of him getting a new deal at United, maybe a 1 or a 2 year contract. It'll absolutely be on lesser wages than he's on at the moment. I have no issue with that. As long as he's a squad player and, he's not our first choice, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? Then I'm happy. Wazza says, if we get Roger Fernandez and use Manato as number 2 in right wing back, we can sell Delors for about 30-35 million easily. Absolutely we can. But again, I mean, we spoke, Wazza, this morning on the Man United Daily podcast. I spoke about Frimpong being available as well. And I know Frimpong is the number 1 choice for anybody for a right wing back. But supposedly he can be gotten for about 45 million this summer. Now, if you sell Delors for 30-35 million, let's say you sell him for 35, you get Frimpong for 45, that's a net spend of 10 million to get Frimpong in the door. And that is some good business. And then go out and get Roger Fernandez as, the understudy to Frimpong. That's some good bloody business. 3 or 4 solid signings and a great striker, and we start looking back up the table. Well, let's hope so. Right, guys, going to rattle off some of the other, I suppose, reports that we've been getting. And the first one is Aiden Heaven. Aiden Heaven Hell. We thought it was all good with Aiden Heaven. Now, again, we've got no real reports to back this up. However, there was an image of Heaven today at Carrington, and he did have a protective boot on him, as you can see on screen there. The United Report were reporting on this, and look, protective boot, not good to see, and let's hope we can get him back as quickly as possible, because what a player he is, and it's never good to see young players getting injured like that. But look, he's obviously got some way to go in terms of his recovery. Let's hope it's precautionary more than anything else. Last week there was reports circulating that he was walking around Carrington without the boot. So you would hope that he hasn't maybe aggravated the injury and that maybe it's just, look, week on, week off, or day on, day off, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it does look like Aidan Heaven won't be returning anytime soon. Well, maybe. I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong. Look, when he's got that protective boot on. But look, let's wish him all the best in his recovery and hope he can get back as quickly as possible. I think, I think he does add some good depth to the squad that we need. We absolutely do need. Now, I want to finish up, guys, and talk about something quite funny, it has to be said. And of course, we mentioned it again this morning on the podcast. It's dibbling. And, reports coming out that Southampton want 100 million for Dibbling are absolute crazy. They really are. And Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about Dibbling today, and I think it was on Gimme Sport, and he said, Tyler Dibbling is the dream target for Manchester United. Southampton want 100 million. They believe he is one of the best players in the world in terms of his potential in his position. Now, is Tyler Dibbling worth £100 million? Nowhere near it. Absolutely nowhere near it. Will he sell, or will he go for £100 million? Not a chance. Absolutely no chance in hell will he go for that kind of money. And will United be in the market for him in the summer? I think they will be if the price is right. Bruce's price is right. Now, look, Southampton are going to get relegated this season. They're going to be, by the looks of things, they're going to be one of the worst players, or the worst teams in Premier League history. And, is Tyler Dibbling worth 50 million? No, I don't think so. Is he one of the best players in the world in terms of potential in his position? Probably not. But he is a good player with a high ceiling. And I do think Manchester United need to be in the market for these types of players. There's a lot of competition. Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, I think Chelsea as well. And then there's been clubs like Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, and one or two others on the continent that have been, I suppose, keeping tabs on him as well. 100 million, absolutely no way, guys. Absolutely no way for Tyler Dibbling. No, thank you. But again, like I said, we need to be there and we need to be ready. And if he does become available, which I do think he will be in the summer, United need to be there and they need to be willing to table an offer for him, because he is a good player. He is a good player. He's not a £100 million player. And I don't think United are going to be going over the £50 million mark for anybody other than a striker this summer, to be quite honest with you. We're talking about maybe your Gyökeres's, your Victor Osimhen's, your Sesko's. We're talking about 60 million for these players. I think outside of that, Man United are probably going to be working in around the 30 to 50 million mark for players. And it all depends on the types of players we can get sold as well in the summer. So it's going to be a very busy transfer window for United. I do think so, to be quite honest with you. Let's see. Jamie says, apparently United are looking to offload at least 10 players. What's your thoughts on this? Yeah, we just spoke about that a few minutes ago. I think it's good. The clear out started last summer at United with Ineos. I think 14 players left last summer permanently between contracts ending and players we sold. And I think that's going to continue this summer as well. I really do. And I think it needs to. Like, we're talking about Lindelof, Heaton, Evans, Shaw, Casemiro, Ericsson. That's 6 already. There's way more. Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Malacia. There's 10. You know what I mean? Before you get into the maybes with Mason Mount, Harry Maguire, Andre Onana. So yeah, I do think they could easily be 10. I really do. Wazza says, I honestly go nowhere. I'd honestly go nowhere near Frimpong. I'm living in Berlin and happen to watch lots of Bundesliga matches. If we sign Frimpong, fans get frustrated after a few weeks when they see his defending. Yeah, you do need to be able to defend in the Premier League. That's one downside, I would say, Wazza. 100 million quid, they can absolutely have it for him in Monopoly money. They're wanting 100 million to pay Romano for that story. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I said, Dibbling worth around 35 to 45, not a penny more. If we can't sign him, we have to go for Matentano. I hope I pronounced that right, from River Plate. You've got some good information, Mazza, in fairness. Keep it coming. A lot of these players that you're mentioning, I actually don't know of. So, yeah, it's good to have you in the chat and letting us know. And I will look up some of these players. Same age, and he is an Argentina gem, around 30 million. There you go. You should be working as a scout for Manchester United because you've got some good information. And it's great to have you in the chat. And keep coming back because I love your knowledge. And happy days. But it's great to see everybody in the chat, guys, and thanks everybody for getting involved in the live chat. If you haven't done so already, I would appreciate it if you could smash that like button for us, because it helps the channel out an awful lot. Do hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. We're on the road. I'm going to skip 14,000. I'm going to say we're on the road to 15,000. I'd love to get there before the end of the season if we could. So do hit that subscribe button if you're new to the YouTube channel. Anybody that's watching on Instagram, it's an Instagram live tonight. We're going to be going live every now and again on Instagram, but we go live mainly on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribing over there. Link is on my homepage. Make sure you check it out. Guys, I do appreciate you all watching. I'll be back in the morning with the Man United Daily podcast. Do check that out again. Like I said, now that we're coming to the end of the live, go to the description of this video and check out the links there. There's the United Community Channel podcast. We've got the Red Hot Takes podcast, which we did miss this week. We'll be back next week with that one. And the Man United Daily podcast, 20 minutes every morning, Monday to Friday, with all of the morning news for Manchester United. Go and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. But please do give us a 5-star review if you can. It helps out the podcasts massively, because Spotify and Apple Podcasts will push it out to more people then. So, and then the channel grows, and then we get to do this more, and then I might get to turn it into a job in the future. You never know. But happy days. Guys, I do appreciate you watching. Thanks for listening. I'll chat to you tomorrow morning on the Man United Daily podcast. I hope to see you all there. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. Good night. Good luck.